Hello everybody, welcome to the Comic Game Movie Show. My name is Deshaun, and today I am here to give you guys my review of Netflix original movie, The Adam Project. Now this is a movie that has been in the works for quite a while. Ryan Reynolds had this kind of weird, I think he had like a deal with Netflix to do a couple movies. He had that, he's had a couple movies with Netflix, but he had a big deal with them to do the Red Notice movie and this movie too. This is one of Netflix's biggest movies, along with Red Notice and a couple other films. Like, these are Netflix's attempts to do like big blockbuster like films that could be in the movie theater type movies. You know, like these and I have to say, this is definitely Ryan Reynolds' best Netflix movie. I didn't hate Red Notice, but I didn't think it was particularly that, you know, that what's the word I'm looking for? That original. And it didn't really do too much. While I love The Rock and him going back and forth, and that's just a match made in heaven. That's something that you just know was gonna work. It didn't do too much for me. Gal Gadot didn't do too much for me either. Then you have that one movie that was not very good that came out not that long ago. I can't remember what the name of it was, but like I didn't particularly like it. This movie works on a level. There is hints. Now I'm not saying it's on that scale, because off top I'm gonna tell you the rating I'm gonna give this movie is probably 7.5, which is solid. But there are hints, sprinkles of a Spielberg-esque a Spielberg-esque story in this. So the story is about Adam. I can't remember his last name, but Adam. This little kid named Adam. You know, he's living with his mom. His father just passed away a year ago. You know, he's having a rough time. He's a quippy, and this kid actor is really good. Actually, he does a good job of being being a character, if I say, because kid actors, a lot of times, at least in my opinion, in films, they're always either their standard issue kid, you know, cute kid who's just kind of adorable and, you know, just like innocent kid, or they're overacting, and it's just like, okay, we get it, you're rambunctious, we get it, you know, and they can go too far with it. But, you know, every once in a while you get a good one. Like, I thought the kid from Iron Man 3, I thought he was really good. I thought he was really good being a character. You felt like this is a real kid. Like, he's just dickish enough that you're like, that's a real kid. Same thing with this kid same thing with Adam and the actor who plays him in this movie is he's rambunctious, he's quippy, he's snappy, he's got a comeback for a lot of things. You feel like he's a real kid. You know what I mean? Like, you really feel it, like this is a real kid. And you really like him. You really like him right off the bat. He's very endearing, and you know that's the key to a great story. Anyways, you know, like it doesn't really matter the plot and whatnot. If you have characters that are endearing and very good, and people want to follow them, they'll follow them no matter what the plot is. So you know the MCU has proven that if you make characters who people want to see and people want to watch, it doesn't matter how ridiculous the situation you put them in or anything like that. You'll want to do that, and that's the strength of this movie. Is its cast. It's all the cast members, including Ryan Reynolds, are all hitting on all cylinders, at least as far as I'm concerned. They're all very endearing. You really like all of them. The villain's kind of meh, but, you know, kind of meh. You kind of get it, but, like, you know, there's not too much time on her, so you really don't, like, it's not too much to it. Mark Ruffalo has a nice part in this movie, though he's only in the movie for about maybe 10, 15 minutes, tops. You know, he's not in the movie for too long. Most of the movie is with Ryan Reynolds and this kid, Adam. Spoiler alert, it's said in the trailer, so I don't think I'm really spoiling anything for you. Turns out Ryan Reynolds is from the future, and Adam is him. They're both Adam. Ryan Reynolds came back to the past to unravel some kind of crazy conspiracy, and in the process of doing so, he ended up getting injured and needing to get the help of a 12-year-old version of himself. And the banter between the two of them, the back and forth and whatnot, is really fun. Honestly, I could watch those guys do that forever. You know, I could watch the whole movie could have been just that, and I would have had a great time with it. Zoe Saldana is also in this as Ryan Reynolds' future wife, and she's fun. The action sequences in this they're not the most mind-blowing. They're not like out of this world. It's not like you're watching fucking, you know, The Raid or some crazy shit like that. It's not Shang-Chi, but it's still entertaining. The CGI itself, it's pretty good. You know, like sometimes it's not great, but most of the time it's pretty good. Overall, when I ended up leaving this movie, I was like, okay, they have an interesting concept on time travel. That's fun. But at the end of the day, this movie's not doing anything too crazy, you know, innovative. It's not a bad movie. It's a really good movie. Like I said, it's a 7.5. But like, there's nothing too crazy. Like, outside of the cast, actual plot itself is shaky. Certain things don't make sense if you think about it too long. A lot of things, like the ending is very predictable and you see it coming miles away. Like, I'm talking like 80 miles away. Nothing in this movie is like that, and like I don't like to hold that against films, like being predictable, because I say it all the time on my channel. I'm like, I don't care if you're doing something cliche as long as you do it correctly. As long as you do it, you do a good job with it. The difference will be the character doing the cliche. Like two different people can do the same cliche, but the characters, how they do the cliche, their behavior and whatnot, that's what makes the cliche differently. Whereas in this film, you see them all coming. You see them all coming a mile away. You see, like, I'm talking every cliche. You see all the cliches coming a mile away. You even get the ending. I mean, me and Seth basically, because I watched this with Seth, and we basically were like, we already know the ending of this movie. We already know how it's going to go down. I was predicting shit. And I was just like, because it's not that complicated of a film. That being said, like I said, it's held up by a really fun cast, having a lot of fun with the premise. But overall, at the end of the day, it's a really good movie. Like, if you need something to watch, like if you have time on your hands, like, this isn't like a must watch. This isn't like fucking, this isn't one of like the best films that Netflix has ever made. It's one of the good films though. Like, cause Netflix makes a lot of stuff, and like they make so much stuff that it seems like they always make good stuff, but when you really actually go and look at Netflix, you realize that literally the good stuff, it's like only like what? 1 out of 10. Like, let's be generous and say 2 out of 10 everything Netflix puts out is good. The rest is shit. But they put out so much shit that the 2 is just the thing you see. And this is one of those things. I hadn't been on Netflix in a while until I watched this, and I was like, okay. So, but I digress. I don't want to be too harsh on this film because I did have a good time watching it. I had fun with Ryan Reynolds and the kid. I had fun. When Mark Ruffalo shows up, it is really, he has a really fun beat in this. Jennifer Gardner's in this. Really, she does a pretty good job as well. At the end of the day, I think The Adam Project is a really fun adventure movie with an interesting concept on time travel. There's a Spielberg-esque vibe to it. When you're watching it, you'll know what I mean. Like some of the shots and some of the way that it's done in the woods and whatnot, and some of the wonderment in this kid's eyes. There is a tad bit of a Spielberg-esque thing. Like, and at the end of the day, I ended up thinking to myself, I wonder how different or better this movie would be if this was a Spielberg movie. Because sometimes you got to bring down the actual man to come in and do this. But yeah, it kind of did. Like, I don't want to be mean because I really enjoyed this movie, but it did feel like someone trying to do Spielberg, but not being able to capture the immensity of it, if that makes any sense. Like someone trying to do it, but not quite being able to capture it. It's decent. But I just get the vibe that if Steven Spielberg had done this movie, it would have been like 5 times better. It would have been like this huge thing that would have been a massive film, but this would have been on a theater, so Spielberg was going to do it. But I will say this too. I think this movie, like some Netflix movies I'm not so sure about, I do think this movie, like, if you had more money in it, and like, if you did have like a Spielberg, this could have been a big movie on the big screen. Like, really, I do think it could have been. It could have been like a classic. As far as I think now, it's a really good adventure movie. It's a really good adventure movie, a fun movie. Watch with people, watch by yourself. If you're into sci-fi, it's a fun watch. If you have a family and need something to watch, it's a fun watch. Have a laugh, see some cool stuff. Anyways, thank you guys for joining the Come Get a Movie Show. I'll see you guys on the next one. And have you seen The Adam Project on Netflix? Check it out. I think it's a pretty good movie. Anyways, thank you guys again. I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.